So, boys and girls, this is a picture of our artist of the day whose name is Jim Dine. And like me, Jim Dine loves tools. He drew tools, he made prints of tools. Look at all the details he would do on just those paintbrushes as tools, but also tools you would find in your garage to do some household projects. He drew it on top of color. He painted tools bright colors, and he even gave us plenty of texture and line designs. So today you are going to be drawing 6 tools, and then you're going to be applying what we learned as far as primaries, secondaries, and tertiary colors in order to make a beautiful piece of artwork unique to you. So in order to be painting our tool of the day, which is the paintbrush, you need to know about the parts. On the very top are what are called the bristles. Those can be made out of plastic or even horsehair. The ferrule is what holds it together. It's that piece of metal that's tightly wound. And then what they do after they wind it around is that they crimp it. They put it on there real good onto the handle so that it doesn't fall off. We don't want the bristles falling all over the table. That would be terrible. So today when you go ahead and draw, I personally like to start with the ferrule. I'm looking at the shape, and right away I'm realizing that my Sharpie is dying. So if you realize that, please don't use it. Go ahead and trade it out for one that is in better shape. But back to my ferrule. I drew the shape of my ferrule. I'm putting the crimping details on there. And now I'm starting to add in my bristles. What's lovely is that you can go in and create a lot of really cool texture with your Sharpie to give the illusion of that being real bristles. And you can also go back and add other little details on there if you want to. And then you can add the handle. Please do not get caught up in it if it doesn't look exactly like the original brush. No one knows what the original brush looked like anyways, so nobody cares. Also, some kids have asked if they can trace. You can trace, but then remember, you have to go back and add the ferrule details and the details of the handle. It just can't be plain like that. So as you'll notice, I'm taking these brushes and I'm drawing them one at a time in a row. You will need to draw at least 6 paintbrushes today. You can do a variety of brushes. You could do the same type of brush. They don't all need to be the same height. Here I have one that's kind of thick, and what's fun about this one is it has a lot of details on the ferrule that if you look closely you might see that it says 3" on there. It's upside down, but you can add those details on there if you have time, just adding in those line details. Here I'm putting in that 3" there, and so I'm just continuing on. I didn't like how that handle turned out. I thought it wasn't very symmetrical, so I just went and put in details, and now no one will ever know. I wanted to do a fan brush, but there wasn't a fan brush on the table. So I looked at the idea sheet to get an idea of how that would look and drew it from there. Once you're finished with that, you're going to be looking at the shadows. If you look at this picture closely, you'll see that on the right-hand side, there's a bit of a gray shadow, whereas on the other side, no shadow. So just because the light is set up that way, we have a shadow on the right, we're going to do it the same way here. Notice that I'm taking a black oil pastel, I'm drawing right across along the edge, and then I'm going to smear it. Even a little bit of messy smearing ends up looking really cool. If you want to, you can use some of the oil pastel that's still on your fingers and just add a little bit of shadowing to the paintbrush itself. Please don't get too much black oil pastel up into the bristles because we're finding that it does start to get into the watercolor paint when we go to add our color. So I'm adding my shadows, simply going along the right-hand side and then smearing it out. And then it's going to be time for you to go over to the watercolor table to apply some of the color theory that we've been learning about. Because today you're going to be adding the primary colors and the secondary colors. So here I'm going to take my brush and I'm thinking about my primary red, yellow, and blue. And I'm going to do red, skip one, then yellow, and then blue so that I can get the other secondary colors mixed in there. Now notice that I'm just doing a blob, almost like that paintbrush actually painted that on there. You can go and do a second layer if you want it to be a little bit darker. But also you can splatter. Now this does not mean splatter on a friend, and doesn't mean splatter everywhere all the table, just on that area. What you do is you have a wet brush with paint and you just tap it against your finger. When you do that kind of hard, then it's going to go on there. This kid is doing it just right, tapping it on her finger. Now I'm completely rinsing out my brush and I'm going into the orange. If you start to notice that your colors are getting really dark, it could be that you're pushing your brush into that black oil pastel. Just try to avoid that so that you don't end up with super dark colors. So you can see me continuing along. I kind of like it that I'm almost making a lesson about tertiary colors because I'm letting my colors overlap a little bit, which is fun too. It's totally up to you. I think you're going to have a great time doing this project. I can't wait to see what you do. Have fun.